7th video of Old Guys Gentlemen Flippers. And today what I'm going to be covering is, well, one a little crazy. I sold one of my Irish bagpipe sets and was able to afford this knife and one more future knife, which I'm hoping will be the Rask when they reopen pre-orders. But in any case, this is the A7 Persian Flipper with marbled carbon fiber, and it's a joint venture made by Andre van Heerden and, Andre Thorburn. They're both South African knife artists. Before I open this thing up, I mean, the marbled carbon fiber on this is just something that's a lot of fun to look at. And then he uses this kind of bronze anodized titanium liner. A pretty cool looking pocket clip, which is kind of unusual. It's built up on a little carbon fiber spacer there. He uses fairly small torque drivers on these things, which I thought was a little surprising. And let's see what it looks like when it's opened up. The blade on this is really cool. It is, alright, let's admire my edge. By the way, this guy came sharp, but not like super sharp, like I can get it. But did a lot of interesting stuff. Oh yeah, it is IKBS, the bearings in there. By the way, the only thing I did with this thing to get the action just the way I like it is just pull it apart and re-lubed it. But the blade has got a kind of a mirror finish up here, and the rest of this is kind of a satin finish, but it's kind of like a mirror satin finish. And it's linear as opposed to, or parallel as opposed to perpendicular. And I think it gives an overall kind of cool look to the knife. It has a nice grabby jimping up here. There's also, here you can see the closing action. It's actually quite good. It's not quite as good as a Shirogorov, but I could probably adjust it so it would be. Yeah, so what else about the knife? It's a 3.5-inch blade. The steel is RWL 34. Gee, I think that comes out of a Dama steel. It can have a hardness, I don't know exactly what the hardness of this is, but depending on how you heat treat it, of 58 to 64. So that's a pretty decent range. Sharpening was pretty easy as far as the grind effect on the edge. What made it difficult, though, well, it's kind of a combination of stuff. My KME system likes to have a flat, and this is kind of the antithesis of flat. And so I had to do some layered taping. So the clamp basically clamps down on these higher edges, but it's a point. You can't see it. I mean, this is fairly shallow, so what I did is I built up a little tape on this and this side and got this so it was fairly even, but you can notice on the KME when you flip it over that the angle was fairly different than over here. I probably could have spent more time making that better, but it is what it is. I don't know if I would suggest changing that because I really kind of look at the blade. The shape of the blade, which I guess is just it's a plain belly kind of blade. There's no recurves on it, so a lot of times I'll have problems sharpening in here with the sharpening system, but this just sharpened really well. There was another guy, I can never remember names, who did a review on this knife and said that there's no flipping action like this one. Well, this one has really good flipping action. In fact, he kept flipping it and said, Listen to that sound. Here, excuse me, I'm gonna go off camera so you can hear it better. And that's a nice sound. And I do enjoy it. But if I compare it to some other knives, excuse me. So here's the Shirogorov 95T, my iPhone. But I'll do it closer to the microphone. And it's a different sound, but it's not necessarily any more special. It's the Liang Ma version 1 Warrior 2. Yeah, I think this guy might be the winner in sounds. One of my standby favorites, the 450, ZT 450. And you can plainly hear that that's weaker. And here's the Shirogorov Neon. The gripping, I mean, this surface is slightly slippery, but it fills the full hand. It's a good size handle, and you put your thumb on that jimping, and it's not really going to go anywhere. It's 4.2 ounces, which makes it a little bit on the higher end of weight, but because of the size, it doesn't feel that heavy. You know, it's wider. This is the widest knife I've got, which I think is one of the main downsides of this thing. And I'm not sure how he could do that any better. You know, just taking a little bit off of each one of these surfaces, but you know, you can kind of see what he has to do on the lockup. He can't make this titanium liner that much thinner, or otherwise you'd have a less stable lockup. Some other downsides are it's really expensive. This was like $775. I got it at thebladegallery.com. But they treat you kind of nicely, and you know, it came with a full description, certificate of authenticity. So that's all nice. But now we can kind of compare the sizes a little bit better. This is a 3.5-inch blade. This is close to 4 inches, so it's not a huge knife. There's also something about this knife that just seems a little bit less scary when you might open it. The Liang Ma. It's almost an exact same size on that, but with a little bit longer handle. And the Shirogorov Neon, a little bit longer. But the main differences are, well, here, let me show you one more because I'm going to show this on the width. This is the Thion's Prinsloo, and this is dyed giraffe bone. I think that's so cool. But this is another South African artist. He sounded like a little baby. You can see it's much larger than that knife. But let's do some width comparison. This thing is 5/8 of an inch thick. Here's the Liang Ma Warrior. Doesn't want to stand up. Probably the best thing. This is, I guess, the other fattest knife I've got. So I'll put these two about even, and you can see how much more, you know, width is in there. Or you compare it to the 450, which is a nice thin knife, and you see that's a dramatic difference. But again, I don't know how he would change that. I guess the only way you could make it thinner is to go to a what do you call it, a case lock. But you know, then you destroy kind of the beautiful look of the knife. So I am pretty glad I got this. And I probably could end up loosening it a little bit to get that smoother drop down that I like so much that I can get with my Shirogorovs. Yeah, this thing still scares people when I bring out, but it is a hell of a knife. This is I used to not like the weight. I'm diverging here a little bit. I used to not like the weight and the length of this thing, but this is one cool knife. So I think I covered everything that I set out to on this knife. Hope you got some value out of it. These guys in South Africa really are nice. They make some nice knives down there. So that's it until my next video. Goodbye.